Hi, scholars. Today we are going to be doing independent writing. We are in Unit 2, Week 3, and we will be writing our petitions. So before you begin, this is just a reminder, a few reminders. The first thing I need you all to make sure you are either using the Penzu journal. Remember, you all have an account and the information is in Schoology in case you forgot. Or if you are not writing online in our Penzu journal, you should be writing on a piece of paper and sending pictures. So those are your two options for how to turn in this work. You should also make sure to be writing for 30 minutes. It shouldn't take too long and it shouldn't be a super quick activity. So 30 minutes is just right. And why writing? We want to remind ourselves that we write to become better readers, to explain your ideas to others better, and to connect to the world. All right, scholars, so another reminder, last week you learned that a petition is a type of persuasive writing. It is a call to action that demands something from someone, and we watched Greta Thunberg's petition to address the problem of climate change. So if you want to rewatch that video of Greta Thunberg's petition at the UN, then you can go into last week's writing folder and it is right there. It's a very good video and a very good example of what a petition should look like. So you also wrote your two kernels last week. These are the two kernels you wrote. The problem is, that's kernel number 1. And then this is important to me because that's kernel number 2. Remember, we only call them kernels because they help us organize our essay once we start writing it. These kernels are just a way to organize your thoughts from the beginning. So they're little boxes, just like little popcorn kernels. That's why we call them kernels. So today you will watch a commercial, you will read a petition example that I will be doing, and you are going to finish your last two kernels. All right, step 1, we are going to watch the video. So you are going to pause this video now, go onto Schoology, and in the same writing folder where you found this video, there is a video called Easy Bake Oven. It's a commercial, it is only 30 seconds. So pause this video, go onto Schoology, and then come back when you are done watching it. Okay, so step 2, we are now going to go over a petition example, and this is what I am going to model how to write. So this is just going to be an example of how to fill out all 4 kernels, not just the first 2, we're gonna do all 4. You're gonna watch me, that way when you write your last 2 kernels today for homework, you will know what it should look like, okay? So these are the 4 kernels we will be writing. The first kernel is the problem is, right? So the problem is what we want to start off with. We want to start talking about what your problem is, what you see that is wrong with the world, what is wrong with your community, with your home, something you want to change. You're going to start off with the problem is. You can also be more creative and start off with different words, but this is a good way to start to make sure that the reader knows what you are going to talk about. So the problem is, after watching that Easy Bake video, Miss Anaya thought, well, this commercial had a lot of girls in it, right? There's nothing wrong with girls. I used to have an Easy Bake Oven too when I was little, and I loved it. But let's take a look at this picture right here. This oven right here. Examine it for a few seconds. Do you notice how it's purple? How it's purple and pink and has flowers? Very little blue. It has very kind of girly designs, right? So, and in the commercial, there are also a lot of girls. The only other character that was in the commercial was the mom that was also in the kitchen. So my problem after watching that commercial was just thinking, well, there wasn't much representation of boys. There were no boys in the commercial. So that's a problem for me since my little brother, he loves to bake. He is baking all the time with me and my mom. So that was a problem for me because I realized this commercial wouldn't make him feel included. it would make him feel bad for wanting to cook. So that is what I wrote right here. My first sentence is, the problem is that boys are not included in the commercial for the Easy Bake Oven. Okay, so after you read that, just take a few seconds to look back at your kernel. You wrote your kernel, your first problem kernel last week. Take a look at that and see if it kind of matches, right? So it doesn't have to match my problem. This is your own problem. It's going to be your own unique petition, right? But does it sound like you are introducing a problem to your reader? Is it clear? If it is, let's move on. So the petition example, step 2. This is important to me / us because, well, to me, this is important because, like I said, my brother loves to cook, and I think it is very important for him to see that it is okay for boys to cook, and it is okay for boys to also want the Easy Bake Oven, just like I do. It's okay for both boys and girls to like the same toys and like the same things. So just because I explained that in the last kernel for the problem is, doesn't mean I'm going to keep discussing it in that paragraph about the problem. I'm going to discuss it here. So this is important to me because I started talking about my brother. I made it personal. I would talk about my family, my home, my community, the world. This is where you bring in that information. Why is the problem that you see, that you are thinking about, why is that important? It really helps to think about yourself and your family sometimes, and your friends and how it makes you feel. Usually that's what helps me when I write these kinds of paragraphs, why it is important. So that is what I'm going to write now. So this is important to me because I believe boys and girls should be allowed to play with whatever they like. And remember, these are the first 2 kernels that you wrote last week. Now, let's move on to the third kernel. The third kernel is the supporting facts and information. In this paragraph, the third kernel, it is where you talk about all the facts and all the information, the evidence that you read and that you know from your smart little brain that will support your petition, your problem. Why is this important? Why does this matter? Why is this a problem that people should know about? Well, what I'm going to talk about is that there are very many talented chefs that are also boys and that grew up to be very, very popular male chefs. So chefs like Gordon Ramsay, maybe you have seen his TV show on the Food Network. He is very popular, very good at what he's doing, and guess what? He's a boy. So imagine if a popular chef like Gordon Ramsay saw this commercial and thought cooking was only for girls, and he would have never become a popular chef and a talented chef like he is if he thought cooking was only meant for girls, right? So this is going to be my third paragraph for my third kernel. This is part of your homework today. And this is what I wrote. There are many very talented men who are cooking geniuses, such as Emeril and Gordon Ramsay. All right, our last and final kernel, the one that you are also going to be writing today, is your call to action. The call to action is you explaining why someone should do something about this problem, right? Because the problem shouldn't be personal, right? Like, my problem is that my shoe broke. Well, no one can do anything about that except you. It should be a bigger problem, more global, and something that affects other people around you. So what should the call to action be? Well, with this commercial, I'm thinking that I should contact Hasbro, which is the company who creates the Easy Bake Oven. So that is why in this sentence, for my call to action, I wrote, Hasbro, I strongly urge you to start featuring boys on your packages for Easy Bake Oven. This is something that relates to more people. if my petition gets out there, if I write it really well and it becomes read by other people outside of Peak, then this is something that could affect other little boys that also want to cook. And it'll affect girls and boys knowing or choosing gifts, choosing toys, gifts, all of that are only meant for girls, maybe only meant for boys. It'll let them know that whether they're a boy or girl or however they want to identify, they can play with whatever they want to play with, right? As long as it brings them joy. So that is going to be my call to action. Okay, so now that you saw my example of how to write all 4 kernels, we're just starting off with 1 sentence each for the 4 kernels. You are going to write your 2 kernels. These are the kernels that you are going to write. Your supporting facts and information and your call to action. These are the last 2 that we just did. If you want to have a little reminder on how to write that, just pause this video, go back a few seconds or a few minutes, and then rewatch how I wrote those 2 kernels. Okay, so to review, you watched the Easy Bake video, and then after watching that with me, you watched how I made a petition out of that, or how I made my kernels, which were going to organize my petition in the future. So after watching the Easy Bake video, you also watched this example of how to write each of the 4 kernels. Now, what you are going to be doing is for independent writing, you will write your last 2 kernels, just like I showed in the last few slides. By the end of today, you should have all 4 written out. So just in case you did not write your last 2 kernels or your first 2 kernels last week, make sure to have all 4 written out by the end of today. So they should only be about 1 sentence each. Remember, mine weren't very lengthy. See, this is each 1 sentence. And I did give you sentence starters to get you started. So all you have to do is really think about something that bothers you, something that you want to see changed in this world, and something that you know will benefit from your call to action. All right, so after reading that, you can do it. I want to make sure that y'all know that you are capable of writing, that you have very good ideas in your head. It is all about putting it onto paper, or in this case, putting it to the keyboard and then on the screen. So scholars, I know writing can be challenging, but this is something that is a great opportunity to talk about something that bothers you and to start to make a change in your own life. All right, so good luck, and I know that you can do it.